Good evening and welcome inside Laura's Bar and Grill. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show. Tristan Hobbes alongside the head coach of the Bryant Football team, James Perry. Bulldogs coming off a thrilling 42-41 victory over Fordham on Saturday down in the Bronx. In case you missed it, Coach, right now they're showing the Luke Samperi game-winning field goal, 4 seconds on the clock. He comes out there, his first career field goal, right down the chute, into the wind, and it was good for more than 42.
Oh, it sure was. And that, like you said, it was right down the chute. I mean, that was like if there was a pole behind the field goal, it would have hit it.
Hey, what a thrilling way to end that game. Complete idea of a team victory. Everybody contributing throughout the course of that game. And then completing with Luke's kick and walk-on kid who's a sophomore and first career field goal, picks a good time for it.
Yeah, and it was funny because being in New York City, we got a lot of support, and I know everybody who's behind us can be proud of the fact that a lot of hard work went into that. Those kids, we got a great 3-and-out. The defense really did a terrific job down the end of the game. A terrific drive, good protection, good catches, good throws on offense, and then special teams putting that thing together. So a lot of hard work, and I was happy to see the kids kind of benefit from that.
We'll talk more about that last 6.5 minutes later on in our show, but the Bulldogs were victorious 42-41 over Fordham in a non-conference game. Bryant now 5-2 on the season, getting set for rivalry week. They head down to Fairfield, Connecticut this week to take on Sacred Heart. That's Saturday on ESPN3, kickoff just after 1 o'clock. So a big week ahead for the Bulldogs. But Coach, we just talked a little bit about it. Big win. Just your overall thoughts when you look back on Saturday from your team's game.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. I thought there's always ups and downs. You play a very, very good football team in Fordham on their turf, a team that's been to the tournament, a number of times in recent years. So, you're going to test your mettle on the road. And we responded in the second half because, we've kind of finished the first half. We struggled a little bit. And just to watch us respond like that. And I didn't have a lot of doubt because these kids practice so hard. But it's nice to see in a difficult situation, the guys come back and play so well down the stretch there. And obviously to cap it off with the emotional win like that was a ton of fun.
Coach, you on the show time and time again, you've talked about your team in regards to their toughness, their ability to face adversity. And they're making you a truth sayer. They're living up to what you've billed them as time and time again this season. Again, another game in which they had to come from behind, and they did it with poise and they did it with efficiency in that second half.
Yeah, and it's for me as a coach, it's really rewarding to watch just the sideline dynamic. Because you can't create that. That's just something that the dispersed leadership that we have, the seniors, captains, even some of the younger guys, just rallying around each other, and it was, heck, they put you on the 9-yard line with a very good punt, and everybody's just pumped and ready to get up and take that field. So it's kind of the Bryant way, and I know it's the Bryant football way, so it was fun to watch that and get the W.
Coach, as we finish up our general talk of Saturday's contest, maybe 3 takeaways you took from watching the film, from the way your team kind of finished that game, maybe that you were taking into this week and getting set for Sacred Heart.
Well, definitely the most fun thing is when you're able to teach off a win. And there's a number of things that we got to do better. And it's always fun when it's right on the razor's edge, because I think the kids take it very seriously when we say, in the future we're going to have to do this well. We're playing the class of the league this week in Sacred Heart, and what do we got to do? And we know that you have to make those corrections to have a chance. So the kids take it to heart. It's a 1-point win, which is better than a 2-point loss, and but the importance of what we got to do moving forward is not lost on the kids. So we went out and learned those lessons yesterday. And now we'll prepare for Sacred Heart.
And one more thing before our first break, Coach. We talked a lot about last week of how the team will go into the practice week and get themselves back on track, and how last year they had their best week after the Central Connecticut game. Were you pleased with how your team practiced last week and came into the game on Saturday?
Yeah, and just their conditioning. We're each week getting stronger. I think we play a lot of guys. We've talked about that in the past. Play a lot of wideouts. Play a lot of D linemen. We play at various positions. We're throwing a lot of guys out on that field, and it's that time of year where cumulatively that starts to have a positive effect. And it was nice to see on Saturday against a very good football team. I think it cumulatively had effect down the stretch, and I think this week in practice, it's going to help us out. Each week we get a little stronger, and some of those young guys that we're playing get a little better.
Bulldogs a 42-41 victory over Fordham on Saturday down in the Bronx, getting set to take on Sacred Heart this weekend on the road. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the victory over the Rams and then get ourselves set for Saturday's contest down in Fairfield. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill. Welcome back to Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show. Tristan Hobbes, head coach James Perry. Bulldogs coming off a 42-41 victory over Fordham last Saturday in the Bronx. Coach, your team put up 628 yards of offense. It's a program record. 88 plays in the game against Fordham. It came off of back-to-back weeks in which you were under 300. What changed in a positive way for your team on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to give credit a little bit. We played two terrific defenses that did a very good job versus us. But I think, for us, some of the corrections that we've made in the last week, especially to be a little more efficient, were critical. When you look at that 2-minute drive, for example, taking it underneath, just taking the underneath pass. We have some really terrific wideouts who can do some good stuff with the ball. Just take the completion. And Price did a terrific job of that. And then we talk about running the football, whether it's Alfred or Brendan, just sometimes being able to trust your blocking and go for the efficient play, then the ball ends up coming out. And it was nice to see kind of first build upon, okay, let's get the efficiency up. Let's make sure we're doing a better job there. And then once you cumulatively have a bunch of those plays like that, they start to pop. And in the run game, a couple of them went to the house. In the pass game, we were able to have some explosive pass plays too. So it was nice.
If you missed the game on Saturday, the Bulldogs went up 21-3 in the first quarter. A pair of 25-yard touchdowns and a 32-yard touchdown. That came from Alfred Dorbor. Fordham, however, came back, took a 27-21 lead, and then the teams traded scores in the second half. Bryant down 8 points with 6.5 minutes to go. Fordham pins the Bulldogs on their own 1-yard line, and I haven't been able to research it fully, but I believe it's, if not the longest drive in program history. With 6.5 to go, down 8, your team drives 99 yards, caps it off with a touchdown run. 2-point conversion is no good. Bulldogs still down 2. They force a punt from Fordham. They get 3 timeouts. They get the ball back with 1:24 to go at their own 9-yard line and proceed to go to the Fordham 24 and Luke Sampiri with the heroic 42-yard game-winning field goal. Coach, that 99-yard drive, anytime you're pinned on your goal line is tough, but down 8 trying to drive to tie the game is even tougher.
Yeah, and we scored from the 9 and got a hold call.
Right.
So, you drive 80 some odd yards, get down there, you think you scored, and they pull you back 10. And I thought it tested our resolve tremendously at that point. That was actually, to me, in coaching, we have an expression as a drive killer, right? And what we're trying to do when we is minimize how many you have, but when you do have them, learn how to overcome that additional adversity. So when you're 80 yards into a drive, I think you scored, and now they pull you back 10. That's a heck of a thing, and the kids showed great resolve, responding to that. And then, there's a lot of motion going into a 2-point play. You think you might tie it up. We don't tie it up, and then the defense gets a 3 and out. So really terrific that way, and feeding off each other a little bit there, and sets up that last nice kick for us.
Coach, in the drive, you've got a minute 24 to go. You're at your own 9-yard line. Did you have an idea of what was the plan going into that, kind of where you wanted to be in the timing of it? How did it play out like you planned it, or was it kind of on the let's figure it out as we go?
It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of times when you're playing fast, I kind of put the sheet in my pocket and call the game. And what we do every week is Vinny Marino, our offensive coordinator, Ryan Madison, our tight end coach, come up with plans for different portions of the game, and that's an example of a portion of the game where we do have a relatively tight call sheet. And when Ryan Madison's saying on Thursday, this is the analysis that we have, these statistically this is what we think is going to work, we come up with a plan, and to a large degree we stuck with it. And for us, because we're a tempo team, 2 minutes hopefully a little more natural. So the operation of it is kind of natural, and then we have this pretty tight call sheet to work off of, and the kids just did a great job of executing it.
One of the most impressive things I think sometimes in football is the ability for a team to get to the ball immediately after the player is down. And you guys throw the completion to Tom Kennedy to get the ball to the 24, and within moments of him, the whistle blowing, your offensive line, 6 guys, is right there on the ball, ready to snap it and spike it and kill the clock.
Yeah, and the rule is 3 seconds.
Okay.
So you got to do it before 3. It's actually an interesting thing that every coach, I'm sure, processes in the 2-minute drill. So we rehearsed that in August, just how close to the kill can you be, because you can't kill 3 or less, they're going to cancel the game. You can't kill inside of 3 seconds. So, that was like right on it, and the kids, you had no time to spare. There was no way they could hold up.
Now, is there a drill that you work on that with linemen? Like, how do you continue to get better at that and work on that? Because it is a skill.
Yep.
Of not letting the play happen and getting down there.
So classic pitfalls would be that someone would be moving, and because that'll also cancel the game.
Right.
So there's a runoff. If you don't have a timeout and you have an offensive penalty, they'll run it off, and that would have canceled the game. So, the minute you get a line, sometimes, maybe I'm a little too close to the guard, or I'm a little too close to the tight end, or whatever. I don't like my split. What you can't do is move. You got to just, whatever alignment, however uncomfortable it is, get yourself set. Don't move. But the kids executed it well. It is something we practice a lot, but sometimes if you're tired or you're stressed, the situation can be a bit much. And the kids responded very well. They kind of did the opposite. Everybody was calm and cool, and we got the thing spiked, and then put the kick through.
Bryce Wilson on those final 2 drives, 14 of 16, finished the game 30 of 51. What did you see from him in those final 2 drives that you were like, okay, here we go, this is what we need?
Yeah, I mean, he is able to stand in and take some hits. I mean, we protected pretty well, don't get me wrong, but inevitably when you throw that many passes and that higher percentage, playing a Division I football program, They have some really good defensive linemen who are obviously trying to get home for the sack. He stood in there. I mean, he took a couple good hits, and as he's throwing the ball, he moved around the pocket when he needed to, and just trusted his decision-making, because the last thing you want to do there is start saying, I got it, the guy underneath is open, but I'd like to stretch the field, or because it's 2 minutes, I have to do more than I'm being asked. And he handled it very well, and I've been very proud of his development in general. I mean, this is a guy who keeps getting better, who I think is poised to just keep getting better the rest of the season. If my past experience is any measure, guys who work like he do, great things down the stretch.
Coach, then Luke Sampiri, you go to him, and you talked about it after the game about how much you enjoy the fact that everybody on your team pulling for everybody. Pulling for everybody to succeed, even when there is a switch. Gavin Rowley starting the season as the kicker, Luke takes over, and I mean, there's nobody more happy for Luke than Gavin, and that's what you love to see as a head coach of a football program. Everybody pulling in the same direction.
Yep, and when called upon, be ready. And it was funny in pregame, I did talk to Darryl, our special teams coordinator, and said, he's really hitting the ball well, and Darryl said, and I think he hit, he hit the nail on the head. He's getting better each week, and that's fun as a coach too. You ask someone to do something, and not only is he responding very well, but he just keeps getting better. You see him kicking the ball, and I think moving forward, regardless of how this game went, we were going to put ourselves in some field goal situations. And for a couple of weeks in a row, I didn't attempt a field goal, but I think moving forward, just the way he's practicing and hitting the ball in practice, it's something that's going to be a bigger part of what we can do.
The Bulldogs, a 42-41 victory over Fordham. We're talking about some of the plays from that Fordham game. One big player for the Bulldogs, Tom Kennedy, 13 catches, which is a program record, 221 yards, 3 yards shy of Jordan Harris's program record set in 2011. It was good to see Tom Kennedy have the day he did after coming back after missing the first 4 games. He seemed like his old self on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he is just an absolute warrior for us. He practices so hard. There was a point in the season, I think I mentioned this, that as much as we missed him on Saturdays, we almost missed him more on Tuesdays. He elevates everybody's practice ethic so much. And then to get him rewarded, his rehab was so intense, and now he's practicing so hard for us, and each week he gets a little better, a little stronger. So I expect him to take another step this week moving forward. And, the program's got some great wideouts, Jordan and so forth. And he's certainly joining that elite crowd because over these 2 years, and he's starting to rack up some incredible numbers.
Then the Bulldog running game got it going again, over 250 yards of rushing for the Bulldogs. It's the 4th time this year you've been up over the 150-yard mark in a game as far as team rushing goes. Alfred Dorbor, the leading rusher, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's his first career 100-yard game, and a lot of that came after first contact. He didn't go down easy on Saturday. 1 touchdown run. He shrugged off 3 different tacklers at the 5-yard line to go in, and Brennan Femiano, 88 yards and a touchdown as well. Those 2 guys really seem to be in stride on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think, we distribute the ball. We play 4 backs, and it's that time of year where I think some of that starts to pay off. These guys, just philosophically, that's how we do it. So, they are a little fresher. They are a little getting a little stronger as the season goes on, a time of year where sometimes guys might go the other way. I think they're only getting better. And I expect them to come out Tuesday and Wednesday of this week and have their best week. And that's kind of the fun of coaching these guys. When I turn to Alfred and Brendan and the rest of that crew, in spite of having a great weekend last weekend, we want to get better. We want to be stronger. And I know they'll accept that challenge.
On the defensive side of the ball for the Bulldogs on Saturday, Tom Costigan, 12 more tackles. He forced another fumble. He is the active FCS leader in forced fumbles with 12 in his career. Tomas Wright, 2 more sacks. He's the national leader in sacks once again with 9.5 on the season. Peter Corbett forced a fumble. Jesse Nemerowitz with 2 tackles for a loss. Bryant ended up with 5 sacks. They have 22 now in 7 games this season. They also had 8 tackles for a loss. Coach, the defense again continues to make big plays at the right in the opportune times and consistently from everybody on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and it's especially nice to see how we finished the game. You know, when you have a guy like Tom Costigan is as good as you're going to get, you know, who I believe can play on Sundays, you know, running around the field, it just pumps you up. You know, he's making huge plays, and then you get in a critical moment, and we got great push on the offensive line. We were able to move the line of scrimmage back a little bit, get that 3-and-out when we needed it. So I think that's something really to build off of, and we'll need to build off it because we play such a terrific team this weekend. So we'll be right back at it.
It has to be nothing more fulfilling for you as a coach to be able to show film at the end of the day and say, hey, conditioning. Look at this, fourth quarter. You need 3 stops, and look at where your conditioning has got you to.
Yep, and I think the challenge that we put forth between the kids, they just eat it up. You know, Craig Buckley was there yesterday, and
he eats it up too.
Yeah, man, he's just excited to work the guys, and they were just pumped to be out there. And I know it's obviously a very special week to the kids, you know, and so forth. But it's just, you go in there Sunday playing Bryant football is a difficult thing, and you know, we intentionally challenge them, and they just love it. So that was fun, and the reward for all that hard work is that towards the end of games, you can call upon those reserves, and the kids did that.
Bulldogs a 42-41 victory over Fordham. They get set to take on Sacred Heart this Saturday down in Fairfield, Connecticut. We'll talk about that game when we come back. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill.
Matt, we know they want to be balanced, but I'll tell you, the more their defense struggles here, they're going to have to become one-dimensional and throw the football a lot.
Demorat setting it up. There's Seawright, who coughed up the football.
Wow. Costigan.
Robert Brown, the one to jump on it. And Thomas Costigan jarred it loose.
Well, you know, Costigan is always everywhere. You're talking about an all-NEC performer. First of all, making good fits. What I mean by that is you got to stay in your gap, and then when you get there, you got to get somebody to the ground. I mean, Coach Conlon's going to look back at this tape and say, well, now Fordham, boy, I tell you, you get back to it. They've got to make some stops here and really tighten up.
Dorber, wow, on 2nd and 10, just gashes this defense inside the 10-yard line, and it's still going. 32 yards. Wow. The sophomore from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. His 4th one of the year.
Of this thing. Take a look at the offensive line. First of all, Andrew Jones doing a nice job pulling. Huge hole there. Bad tackling in the secondary. Nobody can get Dorber to the ground. And then look at a nice 15-yard run there by Dorber.
And so a pair of touches for 21 yards in that little surge for Dorber. Kennedy, the motion man, here on another first down. Femiano gutting the hole and outside to the end zone. Wow. Welcome home, young man.
Touchdown, Bryant.
Two-sport athlete, bottom of your screen. That's where they're going. Kennedy down the sideline.
We'll take another look at it here in just a second, but that's a big-time 3rd down conversion for the Bulldogs.
Play fake to Femiano here on 1st and 10. Wide open, Nisavachia. And just like that, Bulldogs in the end zone.
Welcome back to Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. Tristan Hobbes, head coach James Perry. The Bulldogs getting set to take on Sacred Heart this Saturday. It is rivalry week. The Bulldogs and Pioneers on ESPN 3. 1 o'clock kickoff, or just shortly thereafter, 1 o'clock down in Fairfield, Connecticut. Coach, it's a this is one of the reasons why you play college football. Weeks like this, getting a chance to play against a rival, a game that means so much to a lot of people, and there's a little bit of an extra energy to it, and it's just an exciting week to be around the game.
Oh, yeah. And I was introduced to that last year. The kids in all sports here at Bryant, I think the kids have a little special significance to this week, and it was one of our best practice weeks of the whole season last year. We're off to a good start on Sunday, and it'll have a real different energy to it. And then the fact that you get to go on the road and play at a tough place to play adds to that. So it'll be a lot of fun.
The Bulldogs, this is the first of 3 straight league games for Bryant. They go to St. Francis, and then they host Wagner. It is the final 3 league games of the season for Bryant. The Bulldogs are 2-1 right now in Northeast Conference play. Sacred Heart, the only unbeaten left at 2-0. They just beat Central Connecticut last Saturday, 28-25. So, Coach, it's the time of the year where you get to play meaningful football towards the end of the season, and no better way to start it with a Sacred Heart team that last year it was a shootout, 48-45. What kind of expectations, what are you feeling for this Saturday initially as we start this week?
Yeah, well, it's also kind of the time of year where we're getting better, and it's fun for me to see just how quickly that's happening as a program. We're always looking to get better, keep elevating. We want to be one of the best programs in the entire FCS. So we'll have a great measuring stick. I know the kids are working hard. I know we keep improving. So we'll see just how far we've come against a terrific football team. The
Pioneers, they have a strong offensive unit. Kevin Duke, their quarterback, the NEC Offensive Player of the Week. He's a mobile quarterback. And then the defense has surrendered under 400 yards per game this season. Coach, you've obviously watched the defense a lot. What kind of things do they pose against you offensively this week?
Well, they're a very multiple team, and that's all 3 phases of the ball. They're a very creative coaching staff. They know how to attack you and challenge you. There's no doubt about that. And then the thing that's really noticeable to me is just how much energy they have. So when you watch a tackle, there's going to be 5 guys around the ball. Very, very rarely will you see a guy loafing around that football field. They're extremely energetic that way, and then that extends to the sideline. They are an energetic team. When they make a play offensively, the sideline, it's like pandemonium. On defense, they got 5 guys to the ball, and the place is going. They're bouncing off the walls over there. So, to their credit, I haven't seen a more energetic, fast-playing football team. Which is exactly how we want to play too. So it's fun that way. I think in coaching philosophy-wise, it'll be a good test of wills that way, because I think we both want to be the most energetic football team on the field.
For those that maybe watched last year's game, will that be any indication of how Saturday will go? A barn burner till the end, 48-45, won by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, nothing's going to come easy. So we're certainly anticipating a tremendous challenge, and I think we played really well last year, and that was actually when we definitely were on the upswing as far as our performance as a team. So we'll need it, that's for sure. We'll need a great effort this week to have a chance. So that'll be fun.
Coach Perry and the Bulldogs getting set to head down to Fairfield, Connecticut this weekend to take on Sacred Heart. Kickoff is just after 1 o'clock on Saturday. You can watch the game on ESPN3 or listen here in the local area on ON 1240 or onworldwide.com. Kickoff at 1:04. We'll be back here at Laura's Bar and Grill next Monday, 5 o'clock, and be streamed live on Bryant Athletics Facebook. We thank you for joining us. Coach, thanks for coming in. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Tristan. Appreciate it.
This has been the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield.